And that's the thing about it. It was a trust matter. At some point, I even got to a level where my mom saw that I was getting depressed. But God was purposeful in that very room, my prayer life was stirred up. Hi everyone, I am Geraldine Thabiso Geraldine. This is my Testimony Tuesday with Until All Are Found, and this is my testimony. So I grew up in Mpumalanga, Middleburg. I'm a church girl from birth, I tell you. And I grew up in a God-orientated family. Church is all I know. Church is all I do, yeah. So I've been under my parents' ministry as long as I can remember. And that's the beauty of my testimony, is that I remained there. I remained there until God said it was time. And you would find that it is very different to remain in one position for a long time. You find that Jonah was sent to go to one place and went to the other place. And I remained there for I don't know how long. I even asked God, and I was like, God, it's now 5 years and I'm not even going to school. I'm not working, and I'm just like, God, I pray for a breakthrough. And it was like, stay here, do not go anywhere. And Bible says that those who wait upon the Lord will renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. And so after high school, I remained, and my mom would see that I'd get really bothered because I felt like I had no sense of purpose. Because I would go to church, come back, and remain at home for like the rest of the week. And it would bother me a lot because I just knew that I had something to do. I had so much energy, I had so much vigor, I had so much zeal, but I just couldn't find somewhere to minister, and God was saying, be faithful where you're planted. And there's this Bible scripture that says that those that are faithful in the little are made to be faithful in the big things. And so I didn't grasp that at that time. But God was like, remain here. I want you here. And so I would go to church, come back, read the word during the week. I'd be praying, and I'd be like, God, hear my heart's cry. I really want to serve you. I want to serve you on big stages. And the funny part is that I'd go to my parents' room and I'd be mimicking one of my favorite artists. I'd mimic one of the people that I get inspired the most, and I'd go and I'd hold like a roll on or like a perfume or something, and imagine like a huge crowd. And I'd sing my lungs out. They'd even come in the room and be like, Uya rasa, uya rasel. And I'd be like, oh my word, I know I have it in me. Lord, you can trust me. Auntie, I didn't know that God was cooking. Yes, it felt like a slow cooker, but he was cooking. And that's the thing about it. It was a trust matter. At some point, I even got to a level where my mom saw that I was getting depressed. And that's something that people don't talk about, is that when you are unemployed, when you're not going, when you're not studying. I wasn't even studying, so I was applying, but I wasn't getting the breakthrough of studying. And I would be like, God, my peers, they're even getting married. My peers are working. My peers are just elevating. They are graduating and all of that. And I'd be complaining, and God was saying, Shala gimi. And I wouldn't even understand it, but it was intentional. And he says in the book of Romans 8:28 that all things work together for the good for those who love the Lord and to those who are called according to his purpose. And I would be like, God, what is happening? And I remember for a long period of time, my mom would even call my cousins to check in on me because I'd stay in the room the entire day. But God was purposeful in that very room, my prayer life was stirred up. I would pray like no one's business. I would fast, and I wouldn't even understand what I was doing. But in that, my entire future was being cooked up, if I could say. Yes. And I am a product. I could say that I am a product of prayer. I am a product of the fact that servanthood works. We'd go to church, I'd come back, I'd serve at church like no one's business. I remember it would be my sister and I who are serving in the worship team. And we just have a way of just ministering like no one's business. I remember we'd be like 4 in the worship team, but it would be inconsistent, so it went down to 2, and that was just the thing that made us want to go outside. We'd be like, Ma, we want to go like other children and go to Gauteng and study and get wealthy, come back home and just, live a beautiful life. But God was saying in that, I don't want to do what I've done with others. Because we look at other people and we just want to copy what they've gone through. So God was just intentional. And then 5 years later, God made a beautiful move. I came to Gauteng and I came to study. And that was just me, the humble me, thinking I'm just here to study. I just want to go to one church and don't go anywhere else. So, and that's the thing. While I was still at home, I would get offers. When you get offers to go and minister somewhere else full time on Sundays, and they'd give you like an offer of money. I'm like, I don't know this. I would serve at church, but I wouldn't expect anything in return. And God was just saying there, Uguti, if you serve me with no expectation, I'll supersede what you had expected before. I'll supersede what you had intended. And so I would serve, and my mom would say, but you got an offer to do what? And I'd be like, Mama, no, I'm staying here. Gyahlalala. And I would serve. So servanthood is a big thing in my life. I go by servanthood. So, and then I moved to Gauteng. This was 2025. Yeah. I think I was in and out, but officially, this was last year, 2025. Yeah. I came and my sister and I went to one church and we were like, no, this is not it. But we had an agreement that the church we would be in, we will not church hop. We will stay at that church and we will not move, even when we are not serving, even when we are not doing anything. So we came this side, we started living together, and by God's grace, while I was at school, one of the ladies was saying they are attending at Eternal Glory Church. I was like, what? Because we'd only see these things from the screens and all of that, and we'd be like, yeah, I want this. And especially when your church is not greatly established as other churches. So you'd be like, I want to go there. I want to experience how everything is. And not for something in return, not to serve. We just wanted to be in an atmosphere like that because we have experienced it in on the screens. So we went there one Sunday and we just fell in love with the prayer life. We fell in love with the word. More than anything, we fell in love with the word. So we just said to ourselves, we will sit here and we will not serve. We will just remain at church. We'll go to church every Sunday and all of that. And that just showed me how God there showed me that the humility in you is what will take you and bring you before kings, because you did not come in there with no expectation. So I went there, and to my surprise, God had destiny helpers around me before I knew it, and that's how intentional He was. That's why I say my favorite scripture is that He will go before me and level the mountains. I do not have to curate anything for myself. I do not have to ask for any job opportunity. I do not have to plea for anything. But because God is intentional, He will go before you and He will just surround you with the perfect surrounding and perfect people that will be of help. So we started serving there, and umfundisi one Sunday service. Oh wait, before that, it was just funny thing. I'm a person who's extroverted. Nah? When I come up on stage, I just come alive. But when I'm off stage, I can be very reserved. Yes. So umfundisi was like one Sunday. Umfundisi was like, umfundisi Mkiba, uthi, is there anyone who can do a kwekwa? I remember they call it kwekwa or something. So I was like, I raised up my hand. I was like, I'm here. And he's like, come. I went up there and I did my thing. I think it's from the Xhosa people. I think so. Yes, but they do it too. They do it very well. So when I came back down, my sister was like, Boyapi. And I'm like, Bambanga, you did not hold me down. And to my surprise, it was part of God's plan. It was just part of God's plan. It's beautiful how God is intentional about us, that even in the little things, He is observant. He is intentional, and He makes a way. I will make a way for you in that small moment. So after that, I think a few Sundays down, Umfundisi, I think I was not there at that service. Umfundisi announced to the church then that there is someone who did the kaka on one Sunday. That lady, she's a proper Christian, I know. She must come and join the worship team. I heard that she can sing. And it was just the start of a beautiful journey for me. Not to say that I wasn't full-time in music. I was full-time in music, but I felt that right there, that was my breakthrough moment, because I didn't have to go through an audition. I didn't, and God was just intentional about favor. And it's not just from favor with God, but it's also God, it's favor with man. And He said that you will be in favor with not just God, but with man as well. So I believe that my presence there, me growing up was just intentional. I then started my services there. I served like no one's business. But my thing is that I didn't serve to get anything in return. I didn't serve for fame. I didn't serve to prove a point that I can do 1, 2, and 3. But I did what God had intended for me to do. You know, sometimes you will think that your gift is just a gift, like a normal gift. But God says that where I've blessed you, do it as unto the Lord and not to man. So I'd sing praise songs, but back at home, I thought it was just a praise song, like, but Umfundisi one Sunday, he was like, praise is not just an icebreaker, but it is a chain breaker. So I then understood that what I was doing was not just to break ice. It was not just to jabulisa bazalwane and make them feel comfortable, but it was to actually break chains, because in so doing, I broke chains. I would break chains of introverted people. Someone would say, I had a headache, and I couldn't do much about it. But the moment I started dancing and singing, my headache went away. You know, when I would sing, they would receive joy that comes in the morning. And you wouldn't get that. I wouldn't get that. So it showed that my praise was a chain breaker, not just an icebreaker. So moving on from there onwards, I would get opportunities left, right, and center. And I would post, but I wouldn't think that it would go far. And I'd be like, okay, God, we are here at this level of Eternal Glory Church. And I'd be like, okay, kanti uNkulunkulu ungibizele for bigger things. And He called me for exploits. I was seeing myself work with the likes of Dr. Dumi, Kolim Nwango, big people that I never thought that I'd work with. And to this day, I am about to share the stage as an artist with the likes of Ntokozo Zombambo. People that I'd go into my parents' room and envision myself singing behind them. But God is saying that I will go before you and level the mountains. I will level the mountain. So He did just that. And I believe that He is still cooking. He is still cooking, and I cannot wait. I can't even fathom at what He is doing. That there's one person who would say that uthatha okungekho lutho akuhlalise namakhosi. And I believe that ever since I've heard of that, I've been ministering that ever since. And I believe that God has been just intentional about me, because He took me from Middleburg, and I'd be just a praise and worship singer at my parents' church. And I never thought that I'd be where I am today. So it is truly a blessing that I didn't even have to contend for these positions. I didn't even have to speak to anyone to put me in, you know. And it's so sad that other ladies would have to sleep their way through, you know, but I didn't even have to do that. God would bring people towards me, and that's the beauty of it, is that uNkulunkulu is intentional about our lives, so much so that when we try trust him, when we believe in what he is doing, he will go ahead of you and level the mountains. He will speak to the right people concerning you. He will make sure that opportunities come to you instead of you looking for opportunities. So God has just been faithful, and he has never left my side. And so I just want to say thank you to the Lord for being so faithful, even in my unfaithfulness, even when I didn't trust him, even when I didn't believe that he would do it. I never thought that I'd be here on this day. It's been a year being in Gauteng, and so much has happened. And I believe that God is intentional about what he's doing. So the only thing I can do is just to remain in his presence, not move. And I think the other thing that will help is to remain in scripture. Whatever scripture says, do it. Whatever he says, do it. If he calls for you to be separated at that time, to not do certain things, to not drink, to not smoke, to not be in relationships, to not do what the standard in society is doing, don't do it. It is intentional, because in that purity, in wearing that linen, it says, Bible says that when priests would go into the temple, they would wear linen. They would change what they are wearing. So, and linen represents purity. I love the fact that it represents purity because it's white and it wouldn't have a blemish in it. And it's intentional so that when they go into the holy place, they represent purity. And so it's intentional so that when God elevates you, you are found with no blemish. Bible says, who can lift up their hands and go in the holy place? It is those who will lift up their hands with pure hands and a pure heart, who have a pure heart. So yeah, I'm so grateful, and I can't wait for what God is about to do in my life. And I pray that through my testimony and through my life, people can believe that God can do it. Salvation is possible. Salvation, it does have benefits. You don't have to do things by yourself. God will just connect you. Tony Mwango says that I don't have to have connection. God is my connector. He's a good connector. So I believe that I'm a product of God's connection. Yeah. Thank you so much.